So for decades, well-meaning grandmothers have warned that, if you put a baby to sleep flat on their back, they could just choke on their own spit up.
Right. It sounds completely logical to most people.
It sounds super logical, but if you actually look at the human airway, the exact opposite is true.
Yeah, exactly. Putting a baby on their stomach is actually what creates the choking hazard.
It completely flips the script on what most of us assume is common sense.
And that assumption is honestly just one of many that new parents have to navigate, especially when they are, already running on a fraction of their normal sleep.
Welcome to this custom deep dive. Our mission today is to essentially master the newborn sleep environment for you.
We are looking at a really highly diverse stack of sources today.
Yeah, on one side, we have the dense 2022 Safe Sleep Guidelines directly from the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Right, the AAP. And then on the other side, we have these very practical, everyday guides from manufacturers.
Like Joey plus Joan, Leaf Score, Organic Peach, and Milk and Baby. So we're going to separate the brilliant sanity-saving life hacks from the frankly dangerous marketing myths.
It's so needed.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before you even place a baby down in a room, you have to physically build the space they are sleeping in.
Yes, the actual physical environment.
And the very first hurdle is one of the most surprisingly dangerous, which is the bassinet sheet.
Right. And it is surprisingly dangerous precisely because most of us operate under this massive misconception about sizing.
Oh, totally.
You're generally familiar with standard cribs, right? A standard crib mattress is heavily regulated by consumer safety boards.
Right. It is 28 by 52 inches, pretty universally.
Exactly. You buy literally any brand of crib sheet and you just know it will fit. But bassinets operate under a completely different reality.
They are the Wild West.
Yeah.
There is no enforced universal standard for bassinet dimensions at all.
None.
You might have a mini bassinet that is like 14 by 30 inches. A standard one might be 15 by 30.
And travel bassinets can shrink all the way down to 13 by 26.
Right. And yet, if you walk down the aisle of any baby store, you will see the words universal fit slapped on bassinet sheet packaging everywhere.
What's fascinating here is that in the absence of strict government-enforced minimum-size standards for these specific mattresses, the burden of safety basically falls entirely on the parent.
Wow, yeah.
You have to actively ignore those universal fit marketing claims. A sheet that fits one brand's bassinet perfectly can be dangerously loose on another.
And we really cannot overstate this. Loose fabric in a newborn sleep space is a fatal suffocation hazard. A baby cannot untangle themselves.
They just don't have the motor skills.
It reminds me of buying like a universal phone case. Sure,
Yeah.
it might technically stretch and wrap around your device, but the camera lens is covered or the volume buttons don't align.
Right, and the phone keeps slipping out.
Yeah, it's practically useless. Except in this scenario, a poor fit isn't just an annoyance, It is a literal hazard.
You absolutely cannot just trust the brand name on the box. You have to literally pull out a physical tape measure and check 3 specific dimensions.
Which are length, width, and critically depth.
Yes, depth. That is the measurement that consistently catches parents off guard.
Because they just measure the top surface.
Exactly. But the thickness of the mattress dictates how deep the sheet's pockets need to be.
That makes sense.
If you buy a sheet with pockets that are too shallow, the tension will basically cause it to pop off the corners in the middle of the night.
Oh, and that exposes the mattress and creates this slack edge of fabric.
Right. And a wiggly baby can easily shimmy down and get their head trapped right in that loose pocket.
Okay, if you're listening to this and looking at your beautifully curated bassinet and feeling sheer panic right now, just take a breath.
Yes, don't panic.
The math on this is actually very solvable. The sources all point to one specific feature you need to look for, which is full surround elastic.
Yes, full surround is key.
You don't just want elastic on the 4 corners. You want an elastic band gripping all 4 sides, completely tucked underneath the mattress.
That tension is what keeps it safe.
So once you have the physics of that perfect fit locked down, the next variable is material science.
Because what that sheet is actually made of dictates 2 massive factors for the baby.
Right. Temperature regulation and hygiene. Let's start with temperature.
Temperature regulation is absolutely critical, and we really need to explain why. Babies do not have fully developed sweat glands yet.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and their nervous systems are immature. They physically cannot regulate their core body temperature the way adults do.
Right. They primarily release heat through their head and face, don't they?
Exactly. And if they get too hot, it actually suppresses the arousal center in their brain.
Wait, really?
Yes, making it significantly harder for them to wake up if they experience a breathing pause. This is why overheating is a major documented risk factor for SIDS.
That is terrifying, but so good to know. So let's break down the big three materials highlighted in the sources. We have muslin, cotton, and jersey.
Let's start with muslin.
Muslin is having a huge moment right now. It is 100% cotton, but it's woven with this open weave that creates these microscopic air pockets.
It is excellent for breathability.
Yeah, it allows body heat to escape super efficiently, and it actually gets physically softer with every single wash.
Then you have traditional cotton, which is basically the classic hypoallergenic gold standard.
Right.
It is tightly woven, highly durable, and provides really reliable year-round temperature balancing.
And then you have jersey. Jersey is essentially t-shirt material,
Yeah, it's knitted rather than woven.
which gives it a natural soft stretch. And because of that stretch, it hugs the mattress incredibly snugly without bunching up.
Which perfectly solves that loose fabric safety issue we just talked about.
Exactly. It is a bit warmer, so it's fantastic for cooler months or, heavily air-conditioned rooms. But no matter which fabric you choose, the care instructions are vital. Yeah. Very vital.
You have to wash them before the first use, especially the muslin, to remove manufacturing dust and just soften those fibers.
And you want to use cold, gentle cycles.
And you absolutely must skip the fabric softeners.
Yes. Do not use fabric softeners. They are essentially chemical coatings.
Right.
They break down the natural weave of the fabric, which reduces breathability. But more importantly, they degrade the elastic over time.
Oh, and as we established, that tight elasticity is what keeps the sheets safely anchored.
Exactly. But there is another hidden layer to the material science of the sleep space, which is the waterproof protector.
Yes, this is a huge point in the leaf score and organic peach sources. If you just use a regular non-waterproof sheet, any diaper lake or spit up goes straight through the fabric.
Right into the mattress core.
Yeah, it soaks right in.
Yeah.
And you cannot throw a foam bassinet mattress into the washing machine.
No, you definitely can't.
It simply becomes a breeding ground for mold and bacteria, right exactly where the baby is inhaling, which is awful. But those same sources mention a truly brilliant method for handling this. It's called the double layering hack.
Oh, I love this part. Walk us through how that actually works mechanically.
It is an incredibly smart system. So you start with a bare mattress.
Okay.
You put down a fitted waterproof protector. Then you put a fitted sheet over that.
Got it.
Next, you put down a second waterproof protector on top of that first sheet. And finally, a second fitted sheet right on top of everything.
You essentially create this 4-layer sandwich.
Exactly.
So when your baby inevitably has a massive diaper blowout at like 3 a.m., you don't have to strip the bed, hunt for a clean sheet, and try to stretch it over a mattress in the dark.
While a baby is screaming, no less.
Right. You just peel off the top sheet and the top protector together, throw them in the hamper, and there is a pristine, fully made bed already waiting underneath.
It is literally like a Formula One pit stop for midnight parenting.
That is so good. That double-layer hack saves your sanity, but it also completely changes how you need to stock your nursery.
Oh, definitely. If you are doing that hack, you are essentially burning through 2 sheets and 2 protectors for every major mess.
Which brings us perfectly to the math of messes. Like, how many sheets do you actually need to buy?
The sources categorize this into 3 basic plans.
Okay, what's the first one?
First is the minimalist plan, which is just 2 to 3 sheets.
But this only works if you have, like, a unicorn baby that rarely spits up, and you have the discipline to do laundry every single day.
Right, which is rare. For most people, the standard plan of 4 to 6 sheets is much more realistic.
Because it accommodates a natural rhythm, right?
Yeah, 1 sheet on the mattress, 1 dirty in the hamper, 1 currently in the wash, and 1 clean spare ready to go.
Then you have the high needs plan, which is 5 to 7 sheets, sometimes more.
If your baby has acid reflux, they might need 3 or 4 sheet changes in a single afternoon.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And if you live in an apartment building and only have access to a washing machine once a week, you need a much larger buffer.
And if you are having twins, you simply double the standard math. You are looking at 8 to 10 sheets minimum.
That's a lot of laundry. But keep in mind the invisible messes, too. Even if a sheet looks clean, babies produce a significant amount of moisture through drool, sweat, and leaked milk.
And that moisture breeds bacteria over time.
Sheets should be swapped out every 1 to 2 days regardless, and immediately after any visible bodily fluid mess.
Absolutely.
I do want to push back on the urge to over-prepare, though. Like, when you are building a baby registry, it is so tempting to panic buy 10 sheets just in case.
But the organic peach source actually advises against over-purchasing up front.
Right, so what does this all mean? It means you should align your purchases with your actual real-world laundry habits, not some idealized version of yourself.
Very true.
Start with 4 sheets. See what kind of baby you get, a tidy sleeper or a messy one, and just buy more if you need them.
That is a very grounded strategy. So we have now perfected the physical space. The sheets fit tightly, the materials breathe, the quantities make sense.
The next phase is the most critical, placing the baby into that environment.
And this requires navigating the American Academy of Pediatrics 2022 guidelines regarding sudden unexpected infant death and SIDES.
Let's clarify those terms quickly because they get thrown around interchangeably a lot.
Yes, they do.
SUID, sudden unexpected infant death, is the broad umbrella term for any sudden death of an infant. SAID, sudden infant death syndrome, is a specific type of SEID where the cause of death remains unexplained even after a thorough investigation.
The AAP guidelines are designed to combat both, and they base their rules on something called the triple risk model.
Okay, to really grasp the AAP rules, you have to understand this model. Walk us through it.
So the triple risk model proposes that SID occurs when 3 distinct variables align perfectly.
Okay, what's the first variable?
First, the infant has an intrinsic vulnerability. This is something we cannot see. Perhaps a subtle brainstem abnormality that affects how they control their breathing or wake themselves up.
Got it. And the second?
Second, this vulnerability happens during a critical developmental period, usually the first 6 months of life, when their systems are rapidly changing.
Right. And the third?
Third, they experience an exogenous trigger. That is an outside stressor, like an unsafe sleep position or a soft mattress.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have no way of knowing if a baby has that invisible intrinsic vulnerability.
None at all.
And we certainly cannot pause time to skip that critical developmental period.
Right.
So the only variable we have absolute control over is that third one. We have to ruthlessly eliminate every single exogenous trigger from the environment to protect them.
That is exactly the logic behind their most famous guideline, back to sleep for every sleep.
And this brings us back to our opening hook. The fear of a baby choking on spit up is incredibly pervasive.
It really is.
But the AAP breaks down the actual anatomy, and it proves exactly why back sleeping is protective.
Let's visualize the human airway for a second. When a baby is flat on their back, in a supine position, their trachea, which is the rigid tube leading to the lungs, lies physically on top of the esophagus, which is the soft tube leading down to the stomach.
Oh, because the airway is positioned above the stomach tube, gravity acts as a shield.
Exactly.
Anything the baby regurgitates has to fight against gravity to travel up and spill over into the airway.
But when you place a baby on their stomach, that anatomy flips.
Right.
The stomach tube is now resting above the airway. Any fluid pooling in the throat sits directly over the opening to the lungs, making it incredibly easy for the fluid to be inhaled or aspirated.
So back sleeping uses gravity to literally protect the lungs.
It does, and we must emphasize that the surface they are sleeping on must be completely flat.
A flat surface is non-negotiable.
Inclines over 10 degrees are documented hazards. Think of a baby's airway like a soft paper drinking straw.
Okay, a paper straw.
If a baby is placed on an incline, their heavy head eventually slumps forward, bringing their chin right down to their chest.
Right, because they don't have neck control.
Exactly. That posture kinks the soft paper straw, compressing their airway and compromising their ability to breathe.
This is why sitting devices like car seats, bouncers, or strollers are absolutely not for routine sleep.
Never for routine sleep.
I hear parents struggle with this specific rule all the time, particularly regarding acid reflux.
Yes, the reflux debate.
The instinct is to just prop the baby up, to put a wedge underneath the mattress to keep the acid down. Older relatives will frequently suggest it.
The AAP is unequivocal on this point. Elevating the head of the crib does not treat gastroesophageal reflux disease.
It doesn't work?
It simply does not reduce the reflux, and it introduces those severe physical risks of the baby sliding down and kinking that airway.
Wow.
Even in the NICU, if a baby has severe reflux, the ultimate goal before discharge is to model safe, flat, supine sleep.
The sleep space also has to be completely empty.
Completely. No loose blankets, no pillows, no stuffed animals, no bumper pads.
Just the mattress and the fitted sheet. But, the AAP doesn't just give us the list of don'ts. They also highlight highly protective factors.
Yes, there are things you can actively do.
One of the biggest is room sharing. Keeping the baby's bassinet in the parent's room for at least the first 6 months reduces the risk of SIDs by up to 50%.
The mechanism behind room sharing is really fascinating.
How does it actually work?
Well, when a baby sleeps in the same room as an adult, they actually sync their breathing and heart rates to the subtle sounds of the parents.
That is incredible.
Yet the ambient noise of the adult shifting in bed or breathing keeps the baby from falling into an overly deep sleep state.
Which helps them arouse more easily if they experience a breathing pause.
Exactly.
Other protective factors include feeding with human milk, keeping up with routine vaccinations, and interestingly, offering a pacifier at sleep times.
Yes, the pacifier is highly recommended.
The sucking motion helps keep the airway open, and the data shows that even if the pacifier falls out of the baby's mouth after they fall asleep, the protective effect against SIDs remains.
It's a great tool. On the flip side, though, we really have to talk about absolute dangers.
Right.
Bed sharing is never recommended by the AAP under any circumstances. But the data shows specific scenarios where the risk becomes truly catastrophic.
Like what?
The baseline risk of SID spikes over 10 times if a parent bed shares while impaired by medications, alcohol, or extreme fatigue.
Or if the parent is a smoker,
Right.
even if they do not smoke in the bed itself.
Exactly.
The statistic from the sources that truly stopped me in my tracks was about couches and armchairs. A 67-fold increase in risk.
It is staggering.
That is just terrifying.
It is. Sleeping with a baby on a sofa or a plush armchair is extraordinarily dangerous due to the risk of the baby becoming wedged between the cushions or being overlaid by the sleeping adult. If a parent is feeling a baby in the middle of the night and feels they might fall asleep, the data suggests it is actually marginally less hazardous to be in the adult bed than on a couch.
Though again, neither is recommended.
Right, neither is safe, but the couch is exponentially worse.
Knowing the mechanisms behind these rules takes away some of the mystery, I think.
It empowers parents.
But, this newborn phase, with the bassinet right next to the bed and the tight swaddle, it doesn't last forever.
No, they grow fast.
How do you know when this highly curated setup is officially obsolete? Let's talk about the transition out of the newborn phase.
The first major transition is evicting the swaddle.
Right, because many parents rely on swaddling to calm a newborn's startle reflex.
They do, but the AAP explicitly states there is no evidence that swaddling reduces SIDs, and there is a hard, absolute stop for using it.
Which is when?
The absolute moment the baby shows any signs of attempting to roll over.
Which usually happens around 3 to 4 months, but can happen much earlier.
Yes. Think about the mechanics of a swaddle. A baby's arms are pinned to their sides.
Right.
If a baby manages to roll onto their stomach while swaddled, they literally cannot use their arms to push their chest up and turn their face out of the mattress.
It is a severe suffocation risk.
The second they try to roll, you must immediately transition to a wearable blanket or a sleep sack with their arms free.
Okay, so then comes outgrowing the bassinet itself. Bassinets have strict weight limits, usually 15 to 20 pounds.
Yes. If the baby hits that weight limit, or if their head or feet are physically touching the ends of the bassinet, the space is no longer safe.
You also have to watch their mobility. If they start pushing up on their hands and knees or pulling to sit or stand, it's time.
Exactly. The sides of a bassinet are extremely shallow compared to a crib.
Right, so a baby pushing up could easily tip their center of gravity right over the edge.
Once those physical milestones hit, the bassinet is done.
Yeah.
They need the deeper walls of a standard crib.
This raises a really important question, though. The AAP suggests room sharing for at least 6 months.
Right.
But what if your baby outgrows the bassinet at 4 months and your large standard crib only fits in the nursery down the hall?
It is a profound dilemma for parents. How do you balance the AAP room sharing guidelines with the realistic need for everyone to get enough sleep to function?
Because the reality is, putting a baby in their own room often means everyone sleeps a little better, free from the baby's noisy grunts.
And the baby is free from the parents' alarms and movement.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's a total catch-22. Room sharing protects the baby, but severe parental sleep deprivation endangers them.
That's the crux of it.
If a parent is so utterly exhausted that they're accidentally falling asleep on that highly dangerous couch with the baby, the room sharing is no longer protective.
No, it has become a liability. The data actually shows that improving parental sleep quality, particularly after the 4-month mark, is also a highly protective factor.
And 4 months is precisely when the statistical risk of SIDs dramatically drops off anyway.
Exactly. These guidelines are tools for risk reduction. They require parents to constantly weigh changing developmental variables.
Right.
Moving the baby to the nursery might cause a temporary sleep regression for a few weeks while they adjust to the vastness of the crib, but if it results in a more vigilant, alert, and rested caregiver, that is a net positive for the safety of the household.
I think we need to look at these transitions not as scary, dangerous milestones, but as exciting developmental leaps.
Absolutely.
Evicting the swaddle and moving to the crib means your baby is growing. They are getting stronger. They are rolling. Their brain is developing.
They are ready for a bigger space to explore their own mobility.
Let's summarize the ultimate shortcut to being well-informed on baby sleep based on the stack of sources we've gone through today.
It's a lot of information.
It is. First, physically pull out a tape measure and check the length, width, and depth of your bassinet mattress. Ignore the universal fit marketing.
Pick breathable fabrics like muslin or cotton. Look for full surround elastic and definitely skip the fabric softener.
Utilize that brilliant double-layer waterproof sheet hack to save your sanity at 3 a.m.
And remember, the core AAP rules. Always place the baby flat on their back to use gravity to protect their airway.
Keep the sleep space completely empty. Understand the extreme dangers of couches and impaired bed sharing.
And track your transition milestones. The second they attempt to roll, the swaddle must go.
We know that reading these rules can sound terrifying. You are dealing with a tiny, fragile human being.
It is daunting.
But the knowledge we've unpacked today is really meant to be empowering. Taking a few extra minutes to prep the physical space perfectly means you can lay your baby down, actually breathe easy, and get the rest you so desperately need.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, though.
Oh, please do.
We spent a lot of time discussing the AAP's triple risk model. That entire model relies heavily on the idea of an invisible, intrinsic vulnerability in the infant.
Right, a hidden neurological quirk we can't currently see.
Exactly. But what happens in the near future? With rapid advancements in epigenetic screening, meaning our ability to look at how a baby's environment and biology interact to change how their genes behave, what if we could identify those precise vulnerabilities right at birth?
Wow. Could the future of safe sleep shift away from these broad, universal physical guidelines and move toward highly personalized biological monitoring for the specific babies who need it most?
It could change everything we know about how we protect our most vulnerable.
That is wild. Definitely something to think about during those late-night feeds.